All right, hello, everybody. I'm calling the meeting to order. Roll call for commissioners in attendance. Commissioner Cahill.
Here.
Commissioner Doyle. Here. Commissioner Elkins.
Here.
Commissioner Engbarth. On Zoom. Not on Zoom.
Commissioner Engbarth hasn't joined yet,
Okay.
but he will be joining via teleconference when he does.
All right, Commissioner Goldberg. Here. Commissioner Green. Here. Commissioner Heavenridge.
Here.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Here.
Commissioner Poles.
Here.
Commissioner Taylor.
Here.
And I am here as well. Okay, any announcements?
It has to be relevant.
So many things I could say right now, Paul.
That's not.
Amazing.
Oh, they did?
The SRJC water polo men's team won this afternoon as well. Talks are talking about winning. Any other actual real announcements about the library?
Oh, I do have an announcement. So
Real
I
one?
know that we have some friends here. Some of you also serve on library advisory boards. I just want to remind you all that next week is our stakeholder sessions for our new strategic plan. If you haven't RSVP'd, please do so. You can email me or Jaylene, or you can fill out the form. So just want to put that out there.
Okay. Any members of the public for public comment? Anyone online? Public comment?
There are no members of the public online.
All righty. We are going to move into item number 4, action items by resolution. It's the Friends of the Library Week. Hello, Friends of the Library. May I have a commissioner volunteer to read our resolution?
I can't.
Correct. Commissioner Green, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Resolution.
You're on this thing.
Library, National Friends of the Library Week,
I can't.
sorry, October 19th through 25th, 2025. Whereas the Sonoma County Library has 10 distinct Friends of the Library groups that represent communities and partner with library branches across Sonoma County. And whereas these 10 groups are the Friends of the Cloverdale Library, Friends of the Healdsburg Library, Friends of the Petaluma Library, Lunar Park Cotati Friends of the Library, Friends of the Santa Rosa Libraries, Friends of the Sebastopol Library, Friends of the Sonoma Valley Library, Sonoma County Wine Library Association, River Friends of the Library, and Friends of the Windsor Library. And whereas the work of the Friends highlights on an ongoing basis that libraries are community hubs, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of lifelong learning and the promotion of discovery, culture, and connection. And whereas Friends understand the vital importance of well-funded libraries and work to ensure that our libraries have the resources needed to provide a wide variety of services to all people. And whereas the Friends' gift of their time and commitment to the library sets an example for all in how volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement and the betterment of our community, now therefore be it resolved by the Sonoma County Library Commission that the members of the Sonoma County Library Commission hereby express their heartfelt appreciation for all members of our Friends of the Library groups and recognize their hard work and valuable contributions to the Sonoma County Library. Signed, Erica DeVoe, Director, and Sarah Lagus, Chair, October 8th, 2025.
Wonderful. Okay, so we would love to gather you all for a photo. Before I do that though, oh, I forgot to, are we approving this? I do, I need.
First
All
and a
right.
second.
Would anyone like to make a motion? Okay, and then Deborah seconded. Thank you. Any public comments or comments? Okay.
I'd like to say that when I stopped working 20 years ago, like the next week, I joined the Friends of the Library Board and it changed my life. It's been a total journey from the Friends Board to the lab, to the commission. And all along, I've kept my connection to the Friends of the Library because there's just no better volunteer group. And just something that's always made me feel honored and appreciate and get to hang out with like-minded people. And literate people and people who love books and love volunteering for the community. So I appreciate everything that all the friends do. And it's a joyful experience. So thank you, friends.
All right.
I'd like to add also, someone many years ago said to me, "Oh, come meet the Friends of the Library." And I said, "The Friends of the Library, what's that?" And it changed my life too. I was down in San Francisco talking to some San Francisco and Peninsula staff members. And they asked me to talk about advocacy and fundraising. Because for me, they're both connected. And that's what I learned with the Friends groups. And I'm the president of United for Libraries, which is an ALA division that provides services and avenues for friends of libraries all over the country to talk and gives them information that they can use. And one of the wonderful things is that friends can say to politicians the things that public servants cannot say. And so we thank you, all of you friends who can say the things that we cannot say, to advocate for fundraising, to advocate for legislation that makes sure that everyone can use the library, that it doesn't, there should be something to offend everyone in every library. And we appreciate that. And thank you very much for coming tonight. And we wish you could throw an even bigger party for you, but thank you.
All right, let's take a roll call vote. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Doyle,
You bet.
Commissioner Elkind,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth with us,
Not yet.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Yes,
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
absolutely.
Commissioner Poles,
Big yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
and I'll make it unanimous. All right, now we will take a photo.
Test.
All righty, we're back. We are back and moving on to item number 5, Library Advisory Board, Sonoma County Library Foundation and Friends of the Library. And we have a presentation today from the Petaluma Library Advisory Board. All right, Petaluma, Paul, would you like to introduce them?
Um. Robin, are you gonna be talking?
I am.
Okay.
And we've got, here's the microphone.
After many, many years, we finally got the library renovated. Yay! And I'm sure there'll be some photos. Yeah, okay, maybe it's the old library. But this is Robin and he's in charge of our lab. And it's great to have him and I know he's put a lot of work into this. And so anyway, Robin.
Thank you, Commissioner Heavenridge. Hello, everybody. It is such an honor to be here and on such a joyful occasion. Love to follow that. Yes, my name is Robin Riley. Pronouns are in flux, so understandably, people are catching up. It's a process for all of us. Pronouns she, they. And I am honored to be the chair of the Petaluma Library Advisory Board. And thank you for your time here today. I will say one thing as we go through this, because I know this has been in your packet, and one of the lessons and things that we've been doing and practicing at the Petaluma Library Advisory Board is not reading everything that we put in the packet and reports so that we can focus on Q&A, the substantive discussion, and really make sure that we're using each other's time effectively. So I will try to channel that here and not read absolutely everything that's on the slides that everybody can also find in the packet. So with that, I will just go ahead and dive right in with first actually a moment of gratitude for former Petaluma Lab member Ali Angaro, now works in the library staff. All of this design is her work. And she's just phenomenal. So thank you, Ali. So I think this is familiar content for folks who are here, fairly familiar with what the library advisory boards are, but I will say at least a little bit. So the Petaluma Library Advisory Board is a body of local, Petaluma residents who are committed to supporting the library, who love the library and want to represent the community in supporting and getting connected with and really taking advantage of all that the library has to offer. And so one of the beauties of having the Library Advisory Board is we can provide input and context from our own circles of the community that we run in and from our own lived experiences. And we've been on a really interesting journey since I joined the lab, and certainly before I joined the lab, but only been there for 2 years so far, in really trying to wake up the Library Advisory Board to make it a more robust body. Because truth be told, we've had a lot of volunteers, a lot of wonderful community members on that body who've been there for decades, which on the one hand is a wonderful thing and a sign of commitment and long-term service. And also, you want a little bit more churn on any body that is meant to represent the community. And so that's one of the things that we've been thinking about. How do we have a healthy churn and succession planning? And how do we make this interesting and worth our time? So the Petaluma Lab, as we all know, probably the labs operate each a little bit differently. And right now the Petaluma Lab meets quarterly for an hour, which is not enough to really get our work done. And so we're making some changes, but we'll get to that. So one of the most exciting things that we've been doing over the last couple of years, we introduced an outreach committee. And that outreach committee basically looks at where can we show up in the community to connect with people who may or may not already be people who go to the library or use the services online. And what can we learn from them and what can we share with them that they don't already know? Right, so we want to be a way of communicating bi-directionally into the library system and to the greater community. So in 2024, we had our first couple of outreach events. We showed up to LumaCon, which is just, if you've never been please rectify that next year. It is not to be missed. It is truly a phenomenal event. Just so lively, comic convention for youth, but like it's an all ages affair, let's be honest. And we were really thrilled to be there, and we began collecting some feedback. Talk a little bit more about that in a moment here. We followed that up by showing up at the Butter and Egg Days parade and festival, which is, you know, the event of the year in Petaluma. We were very fortunate to be next to the kids section, so we got a lot of foot traffic and learned a lot. And we'll go into detail about each of these, but in 2025, we showed up at Future Fest, which was really a climate and environmental type event that brought out a different circles of the community, and we connected with people there. Now, I want to highlight just a brief observation here. One of the things that we're learning in the Petaluma Lab is how do we get people engaged, and also how do we do it in a way that's sustainable, right? So if we look at these first two events, at each of them, there was at least one volunteer who was having to don a superhero cape and maybe doing a little too much work, which is always valued, but that's not how you build sustainable community engagement and volunteer organizations. And so this year we were planning to do Butter and Eggs Day again, but we didn't get quite the level of volunteer engagement that we needed to, or support to do it. And we're starting to draw some healthy boundaries. And if we don't get enough support, we're just not going to do it. So we're trying to build a healthy team culture on the Petaluma Lab as we also, make it more interesting and valuable and lively. So LumaCon was a really interesting one. I will not read all of these words to you, but basically we had an open-ended way of gathering feedback. Let's see, I think there's some photos. Yes. So here we have some photos of this large whiteboard that we papered over, and we gave people sticky notes, and they could just say, what do they love about the library? What would they like to see more of or different at the library? And it was totally open-ended. And of course, collecting feedback in an open-ended way is always challenging because it's a lot of work for the people who are participating, right? So credit to, I don't remember who it was on the outreach team, but came up with the idea of like, well, let's offer bookworms as a treat and gummy worms. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for making it happen, Rich. And we also were raffling off a signed copy of Genderqueer from a local author to really give people an incentive to participate. And as we went through that, again, a shout out to Ali, who I believe did the majority of this work, was trying to distill what are the themes from these hundreds of sticky notes that people have left open-ended feedback on. And so we have some examples up there. And just, I really encourage people to take some time and sit with some of these things. Because it's, there's whimsy in there, and then there's some deeply profound things. Information saves lives, I think, is one that jumps out to me. And that one, I just, if I may, point of privilege, since I have the microphone for a moment here, I remember in the late 2000s going to the Rohnert Park Katahdin Library and checking out Coming Out of Shame and The Velvet Rage, which helped me find myself as, at the time, a closeted queer person. And if I didn't have those resources, I mean, who knows? Who knows? So, and I really appreciate what the Commissioner Doyle said earlier about there should be something in every library that offends somebody, right? Like we should all find something in there that's offensive. And not that there's anything offensive about the stuff that I need that helps me find myself in my journey as a human. But we all know the context we're operating in. So I just, shout out to everybody in the library system. So yeah, really do encourage going over some of this feedback. We distilled that. We'll look into what those categories are in a moment. And then we were at the Butter and Egg Days parade, and we had, I think, over 500 people come by our booth. Really phenomenal foot traffic there, a lot of participation. Now, this one, Ali had distilled it into some categories and did some more fabulous design, creating these poster boards where people could leave, they could vote with a few stickers. Yeah, there we go. 521 people came by the booth. And each person could, they'd get 3 stickers and they could vote however they'd like. We separated out by kids and adults. Someone had to count 1,009 sticker dot votes. It's a real labor of love here. So here's some of the categories. This is showing off ideas for the library. And, there's some expected split in the adult versus kid preferences here. And this just gives you a sense of, what are people in the community looking for more of? Now, granted, there's going to be some bias in this because these are people who are willing to stop at a booth and engage with us. They probably already love the library, but that's not true of everybody. They probably all love the library, but maybe they didn't go to the library often. We did find ourselves frequently talking to people like, hey, did you know you could get your access to newspapers through the library? Like, there are all of these things. It's so much more than books. And then we have feedback on what do folks love about the library. No surprise, the kids love the kids section. Yeah, right. And I think one of the things that we're going to need to learn as a lab is how do we actually make this information useful, right? Because how do we translate this into some actual recommendations from the lab? We don't have an answer for that yet, but we know, like, all right, let's get in the habit of doing outreach, gathering information, and try to do something with it. So this is still an early project of ours. It's only been 2 years. We're still figuring it out. But I will say it's also been a really joyful thing. Everybody who's volunteered at these outreach events has come away with, well, I'll only speak for myself, but a deeper and more profound love and appreciation of the library and all the people who make it go. Because you hear stories of what does it mean to people, right? You see people's faces light up, not just for the bookworms, but also like, oh, the library is here. To be clear, we're not there representing the library. We're very clearly representing the lab. We have to make sure that we're drawing clear lines about that, but they're always excited to see us. And I think that's one thing as we in the Petaluma Lab work on recruitment and retention and succession planning, creating an opportunity for people on the lab to feel that joy, feel that appreciation is something that has definitely, I only have anecdata about this, but has definitely deepened the commitment of fellow lab members to the library and their work on the lab. So it's a dual purpose. There are a lot of things that we get out of these events. So we have a summary here of some of the top voted categories, and reading to a dog is always a very popular one. Now, Future Fest, we basically did the same playbook. We had a few categories, we had the posters, we asked people to vote. So I'm not going to go into the details of it, but I want to observe one of the things that was meaningful about Future Fest and was a real a high watermark for the Petaluma Lab was it was the first time we ran one of these outreach events or participated in an event as an outreach committee and had robust support from folks on the lab. As the lab chair, I was able to show up and set up, go have a birthday lunch with my dad, and come back. And lo and behold, all of the volunteers who had signed up for a shift had showed up on time, passed the baton, gotten the work done. And so it was one of those moments where like, all right, we're becoming a team. We're learning how to do this more effectively. So, again, it's serving the purpose of being a way to get feedback into the library and then promote the library outwards to the broader community, and also as a lab to find some joy and become a more effective team. We got some great photos here. Actually, I'll go back. We did end up with a line on multiple occasions, right? Like, it was popular. Love that.
Yes, wedding events.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Taking a photograph,
please.
for the first time, we had our bike mobile with bike.
Yes, the bookmobile.
There that Diane rode over.
Uh-huh.
Like,
It was phenomenal to see the first flight of the bookmobile. And hats off to Diana for learning how to navigate that thing, because it's, when you've got a load like that on a bike, not the easiest thing to maneuver.
Some muscle.
Yeah, absolutely. And a shout out to Petaluma for the active bike transportation network there. It definitely helped getting from point A to point B. So again, we've summarized the results. We still need to figure out how do we translate these into something that's meaningful and useful and critically actionable, right? So that's an open question for us. Reading to a dog, always popular. All right. So there are a couple other important topics that I want to spend a moment with y'all here. And I recognize, again, being here at a Friends of the Library Appreciation Week, a celebration and gratitude to everybody in the Friends. The Friends of the Petaluma Library also contributed significantly to the recent renovation. And I didn't get photos for the renovation in this, so I apologize for that. But I'm very, very proud to say that one of the things that the Petaluma Lab is able to do, thanks to a handful of families who have very generously written the Petaluma Library into their wills, is the Petaluma Lab gets to advise on the use of funds from those bequests. Now, so specifically, we're looking after the Cromwell, the Hopkins, and Buffum family trusts. Buffum, I believe, was just spent down. And the way that these work, this is one of the features that's, I think there are a couple or 2 or 3 labs that have something like this, where there has been a bequest written to that regional library, and that lab then has a role in directing where those funds go. So in Petaluma, we have these, we've had these 3 and now 2 bequests, and bequest documents set a very specific framework for how we do these things. We've been doing a bit of archaeology and spelunking through the archives to figure out exactly how these things work, make sure we're doing it right. The key is that the Petaluma Lab sets the direction. Cannot be used for maintenance or general operating expenses. So it has to be something new, exciting, something different. And critically, there's a carve out, there's an exception, but critically, we're supposed to only spend the annual interest earnings. And the way that the practice, or what we would like to do generally, is spend half of the annual earnings. So that way, those trusts are always growing. And there are times, though, when, per the framework and the request documents, that we can spend more than that, which is, for example, how we've spent down the rest of the Buffum Trust. So and huge thanks to the families who wrote the library into their will, because there's over $500,000 contributed to the recent renovations, which is just, I believe that was an 8-figure project, but we're glad to have contributed 6 to that. So yeah, if I could just appreciation for the families. So just a brief, that's sort of an exceptional thing. We don't always have such a huge capital intensive thing to contribute to. So the general way that we like to go about things is, the regional manager, our fabulous Diana Spalding, and the folks who have preceded her will come to us with a request from staff, a recommendation. I believe we're going to be asked to help support the purchase of a conference table this time. to match the quality of the new renovation. And so what the way that it works then is the lab deliberates, we take a vote, but we don't actually manage the funds ourselves. We don't, that's not legally how it's structured. So folks here who've been on the commission probably know that when we direct funds to be used in a certain way, that comes to you. And then you do the deliberation and the resolution, and that makes it to the administration and the library staff. I'll pause here for a question.
Yes, do you know when you received these bequests? How long have they been growing?
Oh, that is a great question.
Oh.
I regret that I don't have those dates in front of me, but I believe we're talking at least a couple of decades.
Okay.
So they're not
That's
new.
amazing.
Know that David Sapsay was the director of the library when we got the first two.
Okay.
And he's the one who recommended that we spend half the interest.
Thank you.
So it's been probably 3 decades. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Tim. Actually, while we're on this, any other questions?
Yeah, but are you sure you don't want questions at the end?
It's a great question. Yes. I like that. Let's do that. All right. So yeah, huge gratitude to these families. And I think this is something that we would love to see more of. And, maybe it's the kind of thing that the lab can help in partnership with our development directors and whatnot, get the word out to the community that this is a way that they can support the library. So I've alluded to this, well, I've done more than allude to this a few times in this presentation so far. And this is a thing that is a real personal passion project of mine. I like building teams and organizations and things that, outlast any individual. And so having joined the lab, we're trying to build a better lab. So a few things that we've been doing is we're trying to learn from the other library advisory boards. We've had a few, not so much this year, but last year we had a few all chairs meeting of the library advisory boards, just comparing notes. How do you function? How frequently do you meet? Do you struggle with recruitment or retention? What ideas do you have? What challenges do you have? And so I would say that, first of all, shout out to the Rona Parkatati Library Advisory Board. We looked at their presentation, I think it was at Commission last year, as inspiration, and also are just so impressed with how organized they are and the annual calendar, and just there's a lot that we can learn from them. And so sure enough, we've started having an annual calendar, and that allows us to think ahead a little bit. Not only, hey, this is when so-and-so's term ends, what do we need to do to make sure that we're preparing for that change and maintaining institutional knowledge? Hey, these are when these big events are, so this is when we need to make decisions. So just giving us all a little bit more understanding of the flow of the year, and again, building up institutional knowledge so that as people come in and out of the library advisory board, there are well-laid tracks ahead of them. Improving meeting practices. This is something that, sometimes can be a little uncomfortable, but it is really important. So I mentioned that we have previously met quarterly for an hour, which is not enough. When you meet quarterly, an hour is just not enough to get anything done. And indeed, our hours were spent primarily reading reports, which is a poor use of everybody's time. And so what we've been doing is we've been having reports sent in advance. They're included in the packet. And so people come to the meeting with the expectation that we have all read those things. And look, it's never going to be 100%, but if that's the norm, that is progress. And so what that means is in our meetings, we get a lot more done. We are able to go over highlights and then have substantive discussions based on those reports. So we're being a little bit more disciplined about how we run meetings. We'll probably, we will be voting soon on whether to meet every other month instead of quarterly, because there's just a lot more that we could be doing. And also formalizing longer meetings. We don't want to go too long, but 60 minutes is just. And again, building institutional knowledge, this is a theme. We've been gathering historical documents. How does the lab work? You know, understanding our bylaws, understanding the relationship to the bequests. And the idea is between the calendar and the handbook that one of our committees is building, we want to make it easier to onboard people. We want to make it clearer to potential lab members, well, what are you getting into? What are you going to do while you're here? And so this allows us to lay a foundation that we can then improve year over year, rather than sort of drifting as the makeup of the lab changes. And critically, one of the things that comes with this is clarifying, you know, what are we expecting of each other? And in the past, the answer has been very little. It's showing up and having meetings, right? But what are we trying to accomplish here? How much time are we putting into this? And so one of the things that we're doing is we have a committee that's working on lab expectations. And so things might be volunteer for a couple of outreach events a year, in addition to the meetings that you're going to go to. Have read the packets beforehand, you know, just certain things so people know what we can expect of each other, and that we can have more mutual accountability to meet those expectations. And also people who are prospective members can decide, is this right for me or not? And indeed, people on the current lab can decide, is this still the right place for me to be? Right. So this does mean some folks who came into the lab when it was operating a certain way may find that it's no longer a good fit for them. Thankfully, everybody in the lab is aligned on this project and sees that this is a good thing to do, whether or not it matches their personal ability to be involved. So I just want to close by saying that I'm very, very grateful to my fellow lab members, to our Commissioner Heather Ridge, and to our former lab chair and former commissioner, I believe, May over there. It is an honor to serve with this group. It's really exciting to be in a group that is so committed to such an important common good, and also can appreciate that it's time for a little bit of change and time to build a more robust lab. With that, I think I've monologued long enough. Thank you.
Any questions? Commissioner Goldberg?
I have 3 questions. The first 2 are, how many people are on your lab right now, and kind of what's the demographic age-wise?
Yeah. So our lab has 11 members. So I believe we're one of the larger labs. And demographics, it's very white, and it skews older. I am not the youngest member of the lab. We have a youth member, but setting aside our youth members, I might actually be the youngest member of our lab. So these are things that we're conscientious of as we're trying to make sure that, you know, a broad cross-section of the community is represented in the Library Advisory Board. So we want to think about what, you know, racial and ethnic communities, what age groups, all the varieties of lived experience are represented on the lab.
Thanks. And my last question is, the way you were inspired by the Rohnert Park Katati Library, I think you also can be an inspiration to other labs. And it occurred to me, because we on the commission can transfer some of the information that you have to our labs. Wouldn't be the same as having you talk directly. Would you ever do something like that, either to an individual lab or a group where you present as?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I know certainly and I imagine other folks in the lab would be happy to come talk to other folks and share what we've learned. Thank you.
Commissioner Heavenridge?
Good question about the construction of the lab, but we're thanks to Robin, and we're getting some younger members that are part of the lab. Thank you. And we do have a commitment with the city, our mayor Kevin, our Kevin. Nobody has a Kevin, we haven't. But he comes pretty regularly. And which is good because he does represent the city and can bring suggestions that we have back to the city and vice versa. So that we're fortunate to have that. And we've always had with our former mayor Teresa, she always came too. So we're kind of special in that way too. But it's good. A lot of our members were older, and I'm looking at you and I. Yeah. So I think having more than just an hour every quarter, I think that was one of the things that's holding it back. And having younger members with more energy, I think will be better too. But I'm very proud of everything that the lab members have been doing. And the outreach to the communities, as you've seen, it's been really successful. And I know Diana, our branch manager, is taking all these suggestions and trying to implement a lot of them. So it's good.
Any other questions? Commissioner McKenzie?
Thank you, Robin, for a very comprehensive report. There are several people in this room who have like long histories with labs and are very familiar with the problems that you're talking about the recruitment, retention, and mostly figuring out what to do. And so it's really nice that you're talking about, for one thing, you have 11 members. And as you're kind of pointing out, when you go do events, you've got to have enough people so 2 or 3 people don't get stuck working the entire time. So I think just as expanding the size of the labs is really important. But of course, if you do that, then everybody has to understand what it is that you're doing. So anyway, many of us share the journey that you are going through in terms of exploring and trying to build labs and try to understand, the potential of labs. I'm curious and by the way, I love this logo. It's spectacular. I really nice presentation, a very beautiful job. I guess Ally did. I wanted to ask you specifically on the very first slide, you've got who are we and what do we do? And it says, we meet quarterly to advise the library commission on issues affecting our local branch. What's your interpretation of that? And do you think that happens?
That is a great question. I'm not entirely sure that that's happening in a particularly robust way, but I will say that Commissioner Heavenridge is frequently at our meetings and is a conduit for us as we have things to relay to the commission. I think one of the reasons that I'm of the view that it doesn't necessarily happen in a very robust way is that we're figuring out what are we doing here, right? And so how can we provide something that's useful and meaningful and actionable, ideally, to the commission? I know there are a couple of specific things that we relay to our commissioner, and he helps advocate for, such as, hey, can we get like the financials for the trusts? And I know there's a long history, and huge thanks to Myrna and Erica and everybody who's peeling the onion to get that in order. But those are some of the examples of things that, for instance, on the lab gets discussed, and then our commissioner is our advocate here. But I would like to see a much broader array of things brought to your attention. What those are, I don't know, but.
Well, some of the events, I was trying to talk about the commission. Again, and we do have, Barbara was there, but Barbara usually shows up. And that's great. And I encourage the commissioners to go like Lumicon.
Yeah.
Like that. It's such a wonderful event. And the library is really well.
Yeah.
And in fact, the part of the plan. So, yeah, so the lab has been showing up. But, so that's one thing I'm trying to do.
Commissioner Poles?
Thank you very much, Robin. That was really interesting and well presented. I was wondering, the things you talked about are obviously all organizations benefit from clarity, well-run meetings, clarity about what is expected of volunteers. I mean, that's a pretty universal. But what do you feel are I guess what I'm trying to tease out is each lab wants to be in some ways a representative of that town, and that's the purpose, right? The Petaluma lab should not look like the Hillsburg lab in some ways, but in other ways. What do you think is the important, I'm trying to formulate a question, a good question. What do you think are the important parts to hold on to the Petaluma lab versus versus any lab that are very specific to that town versus the general way of all organizations should, the good practices? Does that mean, is that a good, did that question make some sense?
Yeah, I think so. And thank you for that question. I think, as much as, I think every city has a different flavor to it, right? Certainly has a different demographic profile, certainly has different community events, different needs, right? So I think about in Petaluma, it is less frequently that we run into issues where people don't have internet access. Although we do have rural folks on the outskirts who do have that challenge. However, there are libraries that are serving more rural areas of the county that might encounter that more, right? And so they might have more of a sense of like, hey, these hotspots that we're loaning out, like, can we invest more in that? So I think it's being in the community and aware of how its needs differ from community to community, and how can we advise the library to better meet those needs. And so, yeah, it might be about what are the resources that we're providing. It might also just be about cultural programming, for instance, right? As we look at getting better representation on the labs, which is say having labs that are more representative of the communities that they're serving, then we can do a better job of making sure that each community has an advocate, basically. So that's how I think about that.
Commissioner Doyle?
Not to extend this too long, I think we try to have an annual meeting of the labs, and we got off track during COVID. So I think these are all wonderful things to bring to that meeting. I would hate to think, because the labs were created long ago, and we've had conversations off and on about whether we need the labs, what the function is of the labs, should they be redrawn, and so again, that's for the larger meetings and the larger conversations. But I think that most labs are working closely with their friends, and the advocacy piece that I mentioned earlier is really an important thing. But I would hate for community to think that the library advisory board was the board of trustees of the branch library, because that is not the function of the labs. And I know the labs know that, but we just want to make sure that the rest of the community knows that as well. So perhaps this is an encouragement for us to get an all labs meeting on the schedule again. And I think the presidents have been talking about that. That was sort of their assignment, to figure out when the next meeting is supposed to be. So perhaps you could encourage other lab presidents to get that on the calendar.
Happily.
Thank you. And thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
So much.
Thank you for that.
All right, we are going to move into closed session, so time to skedaddle, all of you.
Oh, that works too.
Cross-departmental team, and we met monthly throughout the year to design, to plan and execute our summer reading challenge. The program ran from June 1 to August 9, which corresponds to when most children are out of school. This year's theme was Level Up at Your Library. Level Up is a gaming term, so this year's theme had a focus on play and gaming. Play is one of the ways we learn to relate to others, to think in new ways, and to foster friendships new and old. Level Up at Your Library reminds us that libraries are not just a place for knowledge, they are also a place for fun. The 2025 Summer Reading Challenge was open to all ages. The program challenged patrons to read 15 hours during the challenge. Patrons could either log their minutes online via Beanstack or manually with a paper log. All reading logged between June 1 and August 9 counted toward the challenge. Patrons earned prizes at 3 milestones, the 5th, the 10th, and the 15th hour of reading. And the prizes for 5, 10, and 15 hours were each a free book that patrons got to select. This provided patrons an opportunity to start or increase their home libraries. For patrons who read 15 hours, they entered a drawing for a grand prize. So this one's the grand prizes included noise canceling headphones, DJ for a Day at KRCB was a 1-hour live radio session, a Lego Dragon set, a set of Magnetiles, and an Oliver's gift card for $150. We selected these prizes because we thought they would appeal to a wide range of age groups. Here's a quote we like to share from a young reader named Lucy, whose mother wrote to us saying, quote, Lucy says she would like the Oliver's gift card so that she could buy as much ice cream as she wants. She's 6 years old.
She didn't win.
She didn't win. We'd also like to thank Library Director Turbo for her generous donation for the KRCB DJ for a Day grand prize. We are thrilled to inform you that the winner was an 8-year-old from Rincon Valley Regional Library. She was KRCB's DJ for a Day, and it was live on Monday, just this past Monday, October 6th. And she had a very eclectic playlist, which included Taylor Swift, Metallica, and the Beatles.
And K-pop Demon Hunters.
Of course, of course, of course.
And if any of you are following KRCB on social media, they posted pictures and all. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The summer reading planning team, in collaboration with the event staff of community engagement, worked very hard to coordinate a wide variety of educational, recreational, and cultural summer programming, whether it was CPR classes for teens, paint parties for adults, or live animal shows for children and families. As you can see from some of these images, a good time was had by all. Our Lunch at the Library program runs simultaneously with the Summer Reading Challenge, and it's always had an emphasis on promoting summer reading. This year, to strengthen the connection between our Summer Reading Challenge and Lunch at the Library program, we had 14 teen lunch interns select a reading theme for a day, create a meaningful book display, and then have children read to them after the lunch program. The teen interns then helped the children update their summer reading log and select prize books. It was a huge win-win for that. In partnership with the Redwood Empire Food Bank, we also served lunch at 7 library locations this year. They included Cloverdale, Guerneville, which was a once-a-week grab and go service, the Northwest Library, which we hosted inside the Coddingtown Mall, Rohnert Park, Roseland, Sebastopol, and Sonoma Valley. We also provided literacy and summer reading support to community meal sites who provide free lunches to youth this summer. Now I'm going to pass it over to Kathy, who's going to share about our sticker challenge and our planning goals and outcomes.
Thank you, Laura. So last year's sticker challenge was so popular that we decided to continue it into 2025. This element of summer reading spoke to our goal of getting people into the branches. So we created a series of limited edition stickers where they would come in each week and get a new sticker, and it was only available for a limited time. So over the 10 weeks of this program, we had 10 different stickers, with the very final one being this really cool, we call it a water bottle sticker for a reason. It's a vinyl sticker that you can put places that won't wash off in the dishwasher. I'm gonna actually pass a few around if you guys would like your own, your very own. I'm sure you did. Yeah, so these were really popular with the patrons as a way of just bringing them into the library each week. That's all I wanted to say about that. So now the fun stuff. That was all the boring stuff. The fun stuff is our goals and outcomes and statistics. Every year when the summer reading planning team gets together, we do set goals for the year. There's a list up there on the slide of what our goals were this year. Some of these are basic library services, and therefore they're evergreen. Every single year we have build a community of readers as one of our summer reading goals. Some of them are in support of the library's reimagining plan. And that very last one is kind of just a practical maintenance goal that we had staff work on behind the scenes. So those are our goals. And then I'm going to talk a little, I'm going to show some statistics that show how we measure our progress on those goals. So the outputs we look for at the end of the summer include an increase in the number of people who sign up for the challenge, as well as an increase in the completion ratio. What did I go by 2-1? I went by 2-1. There we go. Completion ratio, which is the percentage of participants who signed up and then completed the program. And then we also look for an increase in total number of minutes read. The statistic on this slide show that we achieved our goals number 1, 2, and 5, which are building a community of readers, supporting grade level reading, and then increasing the completion rates. We had a 17% increase in registrations over 2024. Last year we had 4,026. This year of the 4,697. We had a 19% increase in completions. So 2,462 instead of over 2,067. And then we had a 14% increase in minutes read. So we went up from 3.1 million to 3.6 million. So yay, minutes read. I'm also happy to say that patrons earned over 8,000 prize books to build their home libraries. So, yes.
When you say books, are you meaning any that is audio book? You're not using the word literally
Yeah.
for books?
It's
Okay.
minutes, we say read, but read could be listened. Yes, in taking. And the reason why we use minutes instead of number of books is really an equity reason. A few years, 5 years back or so, we had read 5 books, get 1 free. And you'd have a 5-year-old who could read 5 books in 20 minutes. And then you have a struggling 4th grader who takes the entire summer to read 1 book. And we wanted, the minutes feels like an easier way to reflect the effort they're putting in, whether it's an adult learner or someone who reads 20 books a weekend. We're recognizing all of that effort. It's all effort. Okay, on to our outcomes. The other 2 summer reading goals I mentioned, that we evaluated those through the survey that we distributed to program participants. The library surveyed patrons using a version of the Project Outcome Summer Reading Survey. Project Outcome is a Public Library Association platform, which unfortunately is going away thanks to cuts in the world. But we used a version of that survey just through SurveyMonkey. No, not SurveyMonkey, through Microsoft Forms, sorry. We received 89 responses from the patrons this year. Not a huge sample, but it's who responded. The survey attempted to determine what changes to patron behavior, knowledge, and experience came about as a result of participation in the Summer Reading Challenge. So it's responses like these on the slide here speak to those goals of the quality educational experiences and lifelong learning goals. One patron survey response that touched on changing behavior said, "The summer reading program is a great excuse to read together with my daughters. Really draws us together each evening." I'm like, oh, that's exactly what we want. So given the increases that we've seen in both participation and completion rates, as well as the positive feedback we saw in the surveys, I am happy to report that this year's Summer Reading Challenge was a success. Yeah. Thanks. And now Laura are happy to answer any questions. Yes. Oh, yes. They did.
Who won?
So I can't answer that.
No. We did last year.
We don't have the answer.
We don't have that.
We don't have the answer. The commission did read a lot of minutes. You did read a lot of minutes. Congratulations on reading a ton of minutes.
Well, no, next one. Saying the foundation didn't keep records.
I'm not saying anything.
So their meeting is next Wednesday.
Okay.
So we will know the outcome of the challenge.
To be continued.
To be continued. Yes.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Doyle.
The summer reading program is. But I should know this, did you use the California State Library's theme or did you?
We did use the California State Library theme, which is, there's two main themes for summer reading that are kind of global, and California has adopted one that's by a company called iRead. And we did use the what's it called? Level Up at Your Library is the California State Library theme. Yes.
Great, thank you. Everything, it also kind of fits into the movie themes and that kind of thing, the things that you're doing. And that, but it would be helpful, I think, for us to actually calculate it. The figures for this year and then the ones you gave us for last year, it'd be nice to have those on.
In the slide, as we were running it, we were like, we should have put that on the slide.
Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback.
Next year.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Well, I second or third or fourth, great effort and the well done, organized, beautifully laid out and implemented program again this year. Thank you both so much. I was in the past, the Friends contributed some funds for the books and prizes, and then the foundation was this 100% funded by the library this year?
I would say it's probably 95% funded by the library. We did have some of the lunch at the library funds, grant funds did also supplement parts that were around lunch.
Yeah, okay.
There was no foundation funds for the summer reading this year.
I think that we do offer, if there's branches that want to offer additional programming on top of what we do for summer reading, then they supplement that with Friends funds. I don't know numbers on that right now.
Okay. And just by the way, I did see on Facebook just this week, the young lady at the DJing it was so cute. I just thought, oh, no.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you both so much.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah.
Commissioner Poles?
Next year, looking forward to the summer 2026, besides growing the program, which is obviously always a goal, do you have any, I wish we could do X beyond growing the program? And I was just curious if you could major magic wand, what would you like to see?
What would I like to see?
Or,
What would the
well,
public like to see?
Well, however you want.
We do get a lot of suggestions in those outcome surveys about like, I wish this could be longer. I wish it could be more than 15 hours. What do I do when I get to 40 hours? Why is there no recognition for people who are big readers? And we keep thinking about that. How can we encourage them to keep reading in a way that still recognizes the accomplishment of the people who meet the square? Like here's the completion. Yeah.
And so we're thinking about additional badges in Beanstack. So you hit 15 hours, you want to keep going, you can get these additional
Like 50
badges.
hours,
Yeah.
50 hours. Another piece of feedback that we heard was, I'm not sure if it was from the adults in the community or if it was from staff interpreting the adults in the community, but that they thought that the theme was skewed too young. We did that on purpose this year because we felt that in past few years it has been skewing older, and we really a big part of this is supporting summer slide, kids reading so that they start school in the fall with strengthened reading skills. And so we wanted to bring back that kind of children's focus. Next year we may have 2 separate reading logs, same program, but like 2 different ways to approach it. An adult looking one and a children's looking one. We're talking about that right now.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. You want more? I got it. Woo.
Oh, public comment. Is there any public comments on that? Okay. All right, we are moving on to item number 9, library reports. The director's report.
Alrighty, I'll just have a few things. First of all, next Tuesday, we have our retreat, our strategic planning retreat. Next Friday, I'm going on vacation. I will be in northern Minnesota with no internet and no little cell phone service. So I will be gone for a week. Hopefully I will get there with the TSA and, our air controllers. I hope there will be those. But I'll be gone for a week, but Dara will be in charge of my absence. The other big news that you might have heard about is Baker and Taylor announced that they are filing for bankruptcy. But Sonoma County Library saw the writing on the wall a year ago. And Jamie, basically moved us over to Brodart. And so it's going to impact us, but it is not going to impact us as much as it is going to impact many other libraries who did not make that transition. We saw that our orders were not getting fulfilled long before, and we took swift action. So it is big news in the library world, but we're hopeful that it will not affect our ability to procure titles. Jamie, is there anything you want to say about that or? No? Okay. So those are the big things. As Commissioner McKenzie said, we did do our DJ for a Day session on Monday at KRCB. It was very cute. They typically will post the playlist in a day or two. So once that is up, we will be posting so people can listen in. So there's a great partnership with KRCB, and they were delighted to have such a young person with a variety of musical tastes as their guest DJ for a day. So,
Okay, any questions? Comment, Commissioner McKenzie?
Just quickly, I didn't know that Kim Popenuck had retired. And so I wanted to just wish her well in public, long time, staff person here. So anyway, I hope she has a great retirement. I also was wondering, I noticed under information technology that we no longer have any AT&T analog phone lines. And do we have, I'm sure we don't, or we wouldn't have done this, but any concerns about, emergencies, everything is on the internet. I don't know a lot of other communities are very concerned about, not having their good old analog, wires in the street. I wondered if.
Mike, do you have anything to come up and address that?
No, I'm not concerned. We have failover at all of our buildings. Each of our libraries has a scenic fiber optic connection back to our hub at Central. They also have failover to Comcast or Sonic at a couple of locations. So we have a lot of failover for that. And even if everything goes down, branch managers are all given cell phones as another way of communication. And it's a way for us to trim a few to several $1,000s off of our AT&T bills as well.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. I just had a quick question about the fundraising event that was at the home of Lynn Woolsey. Said helping raise $1,800. Is that the correct amount?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a lot for 50 people. Was fundraising the purpose of the event?
Not specifically like the Saddle Club event was the following month. It was more about bringing people together and hopefully tapping into Commissioner Everidge and her mailing list to bring them into the family. It wasn't set up as a immediate fundraising thing as opposed to the Saddle Club event, which was only about fundraising.
So is there kind of a follow-up component?
Yeah.
So this was just a nice bonus. It was an incidental $1,800 that happened to be raised at an event that was not really designed for fundraising.
So, in the past, we have done house parties, and this was basically an expanded house party.
Okay. Not a criticism, just curious. Thank you.
I also want to, Suzanne reminded me that next Thursday is staff day. So I will be sending you all an invitation. You are all welcome. It will be at the Doubletree, the Roanoke Park Doubletree. So just down the street, from 8:30 to 5.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but if you haven't, please feel free to reach out to either, I think, Lisa or, Lisa.
Yeah, if you have not RSVP'd, you can reach out to me. And I did get a list of the people that have RSVP'd, and I'll be sending Outlook invites to all of you.
Oh, yes, and that was actually underwritten by the Library Foundation and friends groups who donated money for the staff prize raffle.
Thank you.
Any public comment? All right, thank you. Is Myrna still here for the budget and finance reports?
Yes, Myrna is still on the line.
Myrna?
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
So just quickly wanted to let you know that, of course, this is for the our monthly report for the month of August. And as you can see, no revenues were really recorded there, very few related to some grants. But I did want to say that the first installment of the sales tax is recorded in the month of September. We did receive it, and just wanted to give you a little heads up that it was a very slightly over about less than $40,000 greater than last year in the same month. So that is good news for us. And but given the unprecedented economic policies and federal government shutdown, the impact to our local economy, in the next few months is still remains to be seen on the impact to the library. But other than that, it all is in line. The Finance Committee is meeting later this month, and we'll give them a greater update on how we ended the fiscal year and give updates on the fund balance as well.
Any questions? Okay. Any public comment? All righty, moving on to the consent calendar. These matters include routine financial and administrative actions that may be approved by a consensus. Any commission member or member of the public may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar and have it placed with the action items. The commission will approve the minutes of the prior meetings in summary formats. Is anyone needing to move anything? Alrighty then. We have item number 10.1, approve the minutes of the August 20th special meeting and the September 3rd regular meeting. We're reviewing the whole consent. I know, I'm on my A game today, everybody. We got 10.2, Public Records and Records Act policy, and 10.3, revised email use policy. May I have a motion and a second?
I second.
Any comments, questions? Any public comment? Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Doyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenly,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Poles,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
and I will make it unanimous. Okay, moving into action items by motion. 11.1, quarterly appropriation transfers, report and donations for modernization projects. Their report on this? Myrna? Do we have?
I have to be faster in unmuting myself. Okay. So this report was presented to the Finance Committee in September, and as you recall, the Commission approved the appropriations transfer policy, and which gave delegated authority to library staff to transfer appropriations across divisions and within a division's budget. And but in that policy, it did the Commission requested a quarterly report on what transactions had been approved. And so that's what this report shows. In addition, though, we are asking, so it is an informational report on that aspect. However, because this report shows year-end transactions and which included several donations from the Friends of the Library, as well as the foundation. We wanted to make sure that those funds were accepted by the commission to comply with our policies and procedures.
Okay, thank you. Any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comment? May I have a motion and a second?
I'd like to move that we accept this report and the donations made in support of the modernization projects.
I'll second.
All right. Roll call. Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Doyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind.
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth.
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes.
Commissioner Poles.
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
And I'll make it unanimous. Item 11.2, naming opportunities for the Roseland Regional Library Policy. Right?
Am I live? Good evening, Commissioner, Chair Legos, Commissioners, Director Tebow. I'm Craig Palmer, the Fund Development Director for the library and the foundation. Tonight, I'm here to share for your consideration the last of 4 policies we've needed to formally launch our campaign to solicit naming opportunities in the new Roseland Regional Library. Tonight, as required by the naming rights policy we just adopted last month, we can bring suggested naming opportunities for the Roseland Library itself. These naming opportunities are the basis for the foundation efforts in this fiscal year that will move us significantly closer to meeting our campaign goal. To that end, let me update you one more time on the campaign. As a result of the $215,000 we raised last month at the Saddle Club event, the foundation has now raised $2.1 million against its $3.6 million goal, leaving just $1.5 million to raise by December 31st, 2026. And we obviously have confidence that we're going to meet that goal. Erica and I, with Ray and others, have arrived at these naming opportunities after several meetings with senior staff members and members of the foundation board. Naming opportunities are based on factors like square footage, usage, public prominence, and do not necessarily reflect the actual cost of the area selected. Importantly, meanwhile, naming opportunities are chosen and requested by the donor and are not assigned arbitrarily by the library. You'll notice that there are naming rights down to $25,000. And then the next category is $100, fund a tile, build our mosaic idea. On advice from several with knowledge of such things, we have not offered naming rights below the $25,000 level, simply because it offers the possibility of the library being overrun with plaques and nameplates to the point of clutter. However, important to remember, every single donor to the campaign is acknowledged in the building on the honor wall, as long as it's there. And that brings us to the Fund a Tile campaign. This is an idea Erica and I developed to replace the old-fashioned buy a brick idea and give the community a low-cost but culturally relevant way to have their name included in the library too. Subject to complying with the design and regulatory requirements we know are involved, we envision the possibility of commissioning the design of a very colorful mosaic that could be installed outside in the ground. The tiles aren't manufactured subway tiles or whatever the most current kind of tile is. They're shards of different colors that would be used literally to create the mosaic. Donors would pick out their tile and sign their name, which would then be preserved by an overglaze. After that mosaic has been installed, we imagine a wonderful festive community event where donors could come with their families, find their tiles, there'd be music, lots of selfies, food trucks, congratulatory comments, and really swelling pride at the sense of accomplishment. See, kids, we helped build our library. We're planning a special community-based campaign, in fact, in April, May 2026, in which these tiles would first be offered. This campaign will be an example of a new trend that Commissioner Doyle spoke to a minute ago, emerging in fundraising, which is going to combine the best practices proactively of advocacy and fundraising together for for greater public engagement and impact.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Elkins?
Greg, I just have a quick question. This looks fabulous. When I kind of did a quick addition, it looks like were you to get all of these, we'd raise another almost $5 million. So I'm assuming that this is just intended to give generous donors a choice of how they want to be
It's a product
recognized.
line.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
We've only projected in the year about $800,000 or $900,000 from that, but it could go.
Hey, it's okay. That's great.
Thanks for adding that up. I think that's one of the fun parts.
Thank you.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes, excellent. Well done. I love the shards mosaic idea in particular, but the question is like how, of all the people that have already donated, are they, if they cumulatively add more to their donation and get to one of these categories, or is this a fresh?
Well, I want to give you
50,000.
a blunt answer to that. There are 3 donors who actually already qualify. It's the Haas Foundation, the Community Foundation, and Friends of the Santa Rosa Library. Those 3 gave money specifically, and they will get first chance to pick their naming up. After that, we have a prospect pool of about 200 names of high-value prospects who are either already involved with this or who we've been working on to get involved with us. Those people that have already given at the $1,000 level and above will be sent a letter saying, and we put together, you heard about Ali Ungaro and all the great stuff she does. So we have a brochure that's basically, we're holding a special place for you in the Roseland Regional Library. Everybody will get this piece and it'll say, congratulations, thank you very much for your gift of $1,000. You may upgrade that gift now to qualify for these naming opportunities. And then the others will be sent a letter that basically says, here they are. Patches of each one of these 200 names, the top 50 of them, our top 50, will all have personal board solicitors, for lack of a better word. And the letters that go to them will be signed by those board members who will be in charge of personal follow-up with those folks to see what we can have conversations. We're positioning naming ops, and some of you are imitating our seasoned hands at this. Naming ops is an extremely personal thing. It's not checking a box or any of that sort of thing. So we were actually positioning it as, please contact us to make an appointment with Erica and Chris Valley, so we can talk with you about your personal interests, what it means to you, where it would be in the library. So we want to make it as careful a personal decision as possible so that it underscores its value. Sorry if I rambled on.
I have a question.
Hang on, wait, Commissioner McKenzie was still finishing.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, Fred. Just a quick follow-up. The other thing I wasn't quite sure what a children's collection is that the books, all the nameplates inside, or what is the children's collection?
Yeah, it's the naming ops don't necessarily cover the actual cost of what it is. But as Jamie and I were working together, there's a number of collections that we could also celebrate. This is different from the children's reading room and things like that are worth a lot more, but the collections also are worth something.
Commissioner Ingbar?
Yes, thank you. I like what's in the document. It's well thought through and it's well written and well presented. Thank you a lot, Craig, for that. I'm a little confused though, because I'm always the one that's getting the questioning about being involved with operations. And my understanding is the commission passed a policy. What we're asking about is first of all, I'm not aware of a commission of a system-wide organization passing policies for individual branches or individual buildings. This seems more in the way of a procedure, which I don't think needs to be presented to the commission for an approval. That would be something that Erica on the operational side would have the authority to implement, and then the commission, of course, would play its role as the operational oversight that it has in the JPA. So I'm confused about this presentation. I think that we've already approved a policy, and this seems like a procedure. And I don't know why a procedure is being presented to us for this one library branch.
I can give you a quick answer.
Sure.
The quick answer is that policy that we adopted last month requires it. First of all, which is the best answer I can give. But this is the part of my comments that I didn't read in the interest of time. It makes perfect sense that there would be a special policy for Roseland and any other new or renovated facility, since in every case, the opportunities are different, subject to the site and floor
Right.
plan, and of course, the collection, et cetera. So the idea was, wouldn't the commission want to know specifically how we are thinking about leveraging the Roseland site? And the policy that we adopted last month and other policies that I've seen like that in other organizations usually all stipulate that.
Right, right. I understand. Yeah, you're thinking I could see the logic behind that. I'm just, you know, a little confused about why we would be getting into the weeds, literally, about what's being done at the Roseland Library, and how something like this is being handled in it.
Well,
just
if I could
wanna-
answer that, part of the reason why we do this is for the donors, so that that we have this public policy that has been approved by our commission, so that they know that their gift is going to be recognized in the way that it says in the policy, as opposed to when you have a procedure that is subject to change. This is not. So this gives the donors confidence that their gift will be recognized in the way that they intend it to be recognized.
Okay, well, you know, because I think this is a good document, as I said, so I'm not arguing about that. I'm just concerned about setting the precedent of designing policies around a particular library, and that would allow, rather than setting system-wide priorities, to say, well, we're going to develop a new building or a new facility in Santa Rosa, and you know, it's going to be a procedure, it's going to be a policy. I think if we're dealing with policies, our role as a commission is system-wide, and I'm afraid of setting the precedent of just doing it branch by branch. That's all.
If I could address it as well, Fred, from the fundraising perspective, it's twofold. One is that it provides the library staff with the rationale for why there's no negotiation. So when you're working with a donor, they're going to say, well, okay, I'm going to give you 200 for this, but why can't I have that naming? Because there's a policy that identifies the specific room assignments by dollar amount.
Yeah.
And for each of the libraries, it will be different because those namings and the commensurate levels are based on square footage, usage, everything else that goes into that library. So
I
it
agree.
will
I
have to
agree.
be different.
I agree 100% with what you're saying, Sarah, but I think that's the problem. I mean, if we're being criticized at one time for getting into the weeds, and we're being asked to get into the weeds about specific things when they come up, I think we, you know, need at some point to reconcile, you know, that, because if we have a procedure in place, you know, and Erica's speaking on behalf of the library with an approved policy and a procedure, and Jeff is, if he's still on the line, can talk about it. The legal effect of a procedure is still, you know, pretty much, as long as it's consistent with the policy, has the same value as it would be if the policy was saying that it is itself. The procedure is a localized thing where you can model it for the branch or the particular facility and say, here's what our procedure is, and under this authority, we have the ability to set the amount based on the conditions here at the library. That's, you know, with this particular branch. That's
Can that be noted and we move on?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments, public comments? No? Okay, may I have a motion in a second?
I second.
Eve seconds. All right, Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Doyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Ingbarth,
No.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie, Commissioner Poles.
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. All right, item 12, discussion. We don't have any. Thank you very much, Greg. Item 13, commission and liaison reports. Does anyone have anything to add to their reports? Commissioner McKenzie?
I just wanted to add a note of appreciation. Commissioner Elkind mentioned all those of you commissioners who went out to see all these properties. And I'm sure that was time consuming and took a lot, and I appreciate everybody involved in that. So thank you.
All right, anything else? Moving on to the Finance Committee report, Commissioner McKenzie, do you have anything else to add?
I think the minutes speak for themselves. I would point out that we do have a new auditor, which I think I mentioned last time, Harshwal and Company. We appreciated our old auditors. They did a great job, but it was just time, good practice to change every few years. And also, David was elected the vice chair of the Finance Committee again, and I was elected chair. So we'll carry forward with all of our responsibilities in the new session. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Goldberg, do you have anything to update from the historic records? Okay. Commissioner Goldberg, do you have anything to update from the foundation? Okay. All right, moving on. We have no old and new business. Any agenda items for future commission meetings? Commissioner Doyle?
I'm not sure whether this is a request for an ad hoc committee, but I think that given the things that are happening in Washington, Sacramento, and lots of things, I think that it might be a good thing either for the director to create an advocacy committee and appoint people, or for the commission to appoint an advocacy committee. We're not going to be talking about our funding particularly, but I think it's important that and we're lucky here, but I think it's important that we're aware of all of the things that are happening, and there's lots of things happening in library legislation or library funding that we should know and that the community should know as well. So.
Commissioner Dale?
Whatever happened to the JPA review?
Next month. Hold your
goody.
horses.
Okay.
Didn't get it under the line.
So close. Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes, this was actually part of Commissioner Goldberg's report, and then I thought I read it somewhere else. This mention of a possible Friends membership program administered by the foundation, a working group made up of stakeholders, Friends Foundation and staff. Just wondering maybe a little more. I hadn't heard about that. There was kind of implied that the Friends organizations weren't getting new members and things like that. Just some more information about that. I don't know who's kind of carrying this topic.
Craig is the one that really knows about that. Did you hear a question?
Well, you can't answer it.
On the agenda.
Yeah,
Oh.
so does anybody want to second that for it to come forward?
I'll second it.
Yeah, thanks. Just.
And then do we want to have a second on the advocacy committee?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Do you want to have anyone who's interested in serving on that, or do you want to wait and see how it comes up?
I'm gonna put an email out.
Okay.
It's easier for me to track it that way. Okay, anything else for the agenda for future committee meetings? Okay, so don't forget, next Tuesday is our Library Commission Strategic Planning Retreat. So we are meeting at 10 a.m. here for that session. So I hope you all are able to join us. Be a really great time to spend some time with the consultants and provide our voices, as well as our individual sessions with the strategic planning consultants.
Is this a public meeting? Is it gonna be on Zoom for the public, or is it this commission, the strategic meeting?
So it is a public meeting, but we are not live streaming it. And we are not, are we recording it?
We're recording the meeting, and the recording will be posted on iCompass.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Make sure, if you haven't sent your lunch order in, please do.
Yes.